Good afternoon. I'm Oscar Morena. This is Carlos Velasquez. The concept for our table is basically green and security. We want no buildings. We want green. Our plan is from AD Barnes Park all the way from AD Barnes Park to 8th Street, where 8th Street comes up where Walmart is now being built. So basically, all that central portion is going to be green. Along the elevated portion where the tracks used to be, that will be a bike path or walk path all the way down. On the buffers in between the homes, meaning in between the elevation of the land, that area, the buffer zone, there will be trees all the way down. And then on the bike path, there will be lighting on the path all the way up. We've also included security, in which in the major intersections there will be cameras posted. That way we can look at this area. Believe it or not, this area is sometimes trafficked by people who are not with best intentions. So the other thing is we wanted to have fitness stations at different intervals within the trail. Also, we benches at different intersections. More so in the mid-central portion. We don't want them too much in the intersections because that will cause loitering. Also, as far as where the benches are, so people can deposit garbage cans, doggy bags potentially. We wanted a park, a small park on Coral Way, where it abuts the shopping center and the gas station. Like a chocolate area, especially the area maybe fenced in, so to avoid traffic. Also water fountains at different intervals along the path, so that people can have water and so forth. So not only will it be efficacious for children, the young, but also the elderly population. There's a very elderly population that have lived in this area since the 60s and the 70s. They're now 70. They're in retirement. All those homes are bought, owned, paid for. And so, we do not want any form of buildings. We don't want any roads, no traffic, no buses, nothing. We just want it to be nice and green.
Green is the word.
Green is the word.
We want people walking and riding,
exercise,
enjoying the space.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Table number 16. Presenter number 16.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Rubino. I'm with Friends of the Ludlam Trail. And first, what an amazing turnout and great involvement. I wanted to take a second again to thank Flagler for participating in this. We really want to cooperate with them to see the best vision for this property for our community. And from our table, we envisioned that also no buildings, a complete park, and we had a number of different ideas. Sorry if I move back to the picture, I'm going to get that feedback. One of the most important things is that there's Coral Terrace Elementary, and we felt that it was important to have safe routes for our kids to get to school. We wanted to make sure that there was a pine rockland restoring the nature that existed here forever before just a couple of years ago, including a pine rockland. Not a lot of people are aware that the bonneted bat is an indigenous bat that's endangered and has been using the trail for years, and now we want to create an environment that welcomes back the bonneted bat. There's a lot of advantages to this endangered species. It eats mosquitoes and it belongs here, and it's endangered, and we should protect that environment for it. We also talked about making safe crosswalks at the minor crossings. We talked about speed bumps, painting the streets, lights, and other ways of protecting people that are using the park as they cross those minor streets. We also talked about things like water fountains, arboretums, dog parks, phys ed areas, really creating an environment where the people who live on the park, and also the people who don't live on the park, the people that are not immediate adjacent to the park, are going to be able to make that park a destination, and it would be a world-class, iconic park that not only the people living right on that property are going to be able to enjoy it, but the entire community is going to be able to enjoy it. It's going to connect communities. The communities in the north being able to ride their bikes down to day trams and being able to use that as a resource. We also felt that safety was important. It is true that there's some people who are on the park today that we wish weren't there, but nobody is saying that we want to keep the status quo. Everybody wants change. Flagler wants change. We're advocating change to the current situation, and that means eyes on the park, whether it's patrol people on bicycles riding up and down, keeping eyes on the park, lighting the park, and most importantly, turning it from someplace where you're trespassing to someplace that people get to enjoy and use, and that we feel is going to make the most change in the park. One of the other things, thank you, one of the other ideas that we had was creating a buffer. Right now, if you walk the park, there's a chain link fence next to a wood fence, next to trees, next to shrubs, next to another chain link fence, and there's no continuity. So we were hoping to see a continuous, consistent tree line or shrubbery or some type of way of, when you're on the park, being able to look down and have that consistent view for your eye. That sort of precludes tall buildings and townhomes and things like that that would interrupt that view that you have to the horizon when you're standing on the park. So that's what we were hoping to see, and we thought that would be a win because it would also give the residents who live on the trail right now a little bit of extra property, a little bit of extra buffer if we were able to have a consistent fence and border line. From my table, was there any other major things? I have one last thing to do. We're really here. I mean, all of us are here because we're concerned citizens, but we're really here for McCoy. Can we all say hi to McCoy over here? I'm going to pull out all the punches. We're doing this for these kids to have safe routes to school. We're doing this so these kids have a safe place to have a park and to make our community come together in this space. And so that's what we were hoping to accomplish with our ideas.
Again, as we continue with the next table, table 1, if you have notes for any of these tables that are other than what's already on the map, make sure before you leave, give it to one of the staff so that we can have that also. Just write the table number so that we know which one was it for. Table number 1.
Our table spoke, and basically we want a trail. We don't want any new housing developed, no new businesses developed. We want more green space. A major concern within our neighborhood is both with the potential and the ongoing development. There's plenty of traffic that's coming in through our neighborhood. A lot of people are using our residential streets for their daily commute, causing a lot more car traffic going in and out. So it is not as pleasant to walk our dogs or anything like that. As the gentleman mentioned before, a lot of our natural habitat, the pine rockland, does not exist anymore. There's only 5% left in the entire state, which is really crazy. 80 Barnes Park does hold a sliver of this natural habitat, and there are, like the gentleman before said, endangered species that use this to call their place home, like the Florida bonneted bats, the swallowtail butterfly, and the white ibis. In Florida, here in Dade County especially, we've had a historical loss of tree canopy. The county estimates that we only have 14% of the tree canopy that we should have, and for a healthy metropolitan area, you should have 40%. Urban development is not going to allow for that. A trail can. We've lost our tree canopy to both hurricanes and urban development, so I can't imagine FEC coming in and allowing people to build more houses, more businesses is going to help us in any way. There is such a low of our tree canopy that parts of our area have less than 2% of tree canopy in certain areas of our county. And folks, the bottom line is that we don't own this property. At the end of the day, they can do whatever they want with it. So, I mean, I really hope that this wasn't a waste of our time, that this just wasn't a showing of the commissioners saying, hey, we tried. Because if that's the case, then you're not trying hard enough.
And now we have actually a special table, a kids table. Anna, right? Annabelle? All right, and she's going to present the table. Then I have another helper. David.
Me and a little girl, we just decided to do something really creative, and then we just went to do malls and parking lots, and then she drew the statue. She drew a playground, and it's really creative.
Where's that playground?
The park.
The park right there. All right. What else?
We did malls, and then in the mall we did Target, Chili's, Most importantly, Toys R Us.
All right. It's definitely a different perspective. They don't drive, so there's a different way of looking at this. Let's go. All right, we have a little bit of, we're going to put up new maps up here. All right, we'll start with table number 4. Do we have the presenters for table number 4?
Good morning. Our table has spoken, and it's pretty much the same thing that everybody else have mentioned before, but I think it is important that we keep emphasizing over and over again that what we want is what everybody else is wanting. Pretty much our table came up with the same ideas. It's like a consensus with everybody else, and we're going to just quickly read what we came up with. No houses, buildings, apartments, or if houses have to be made, because like the lady mentioned before, at the end of the day, we cannot say that no houses are going to be there. But if houses have to be made, please respect the amount of houses that are now. And build houses 1 story, and if there is a house, just build another house. Don't bring 10 houses right behind our backyards. We don't need more crowded spaces. We don't need more traffic. Walking paths for the entire length of the trail, separate bike paths for the entire length of the trail, water fountains, landscapes that will include trees, bushes, and grass. Protect and restore the rockland habitat and create habitat for endangered species like the bonnet bat. Benches, comfortable for all people, because a lot of old people live in our communities, and we expect to be, not in such a long future, we're going to be the same old people that we're planning to sit there and enjoy what we have created. So we want to be proud of what we came up with. Resting gazebos, playgrounds, businesses and equipment like bars where people can exercise, and make a detour to alleviate 70th Avenue that is very crowded in the mornings and afternoons, and entry features, garbage cans, lighting, so pretty much what everybody else has said before.
Table 5, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia Romeo. I'm actually a new homeowner in in this area, and the first thing that I see when I bought the house is like, this is going to the commission, and all of a sudden I'm potentially having neighbors and building a house right behind the house that I bought specifically because of the green space and the fact that I was going to be able to enjoy what I have in Miami Springs, right in the middle of county land. I bought a house right against 80 dog barns, and I was totally heartbroken that I had spent quite a bit of money for this property, and all of a sudden there was a potential there was going to be development right behind us. I mean, I actually work for the county as well, and I think we need to do whatever we need to do to really try to make our community more livable. I think the quality of life of our families, our everyday commute, I mean, this is adding more to this specific trail. It's only putting us further back into reaching the status that we want as a world-class city. I mean, we have the huge expressway right next to us, the meadow, which we know we all need in our daily commutes. But at the same time, we need more green space. We need space for our families to grow, for people to walk, for our elderly to age graciously. So we need to really be aware of what could happen right behind our house. This is a great show of people wanting to come together to do something for the whole, and we need to think outside of our own four walls. We also share, our tables certainly share the same concern as everybody else. We want green space. We want more areas to walk, to bike, to enjoy our lives after work. I mean, it's pretty depressing to think that our kids are only going home to watch TV and be on the cellulars all the time playing inside the house. Don't you all recall when you were little kids running around, getting to know other people, knowing who your neighbor was? I mean, I actually had the grace of moving to this new house, and I actually know my neighbors. I mean, because we actually see each other. But how many of you don't even know who lives 2 houses from you? So this is Tyler, you see? Table 4. She doesn't know who lives next to her. So it's really up to us to make a difference. The commission is going to hear, the county does take action, but it's up to us to make it happen. Now, we certainly want more green space. I mean, I represent Coralway to Burr Road. Green space, we need lighting. I mean, these are locations that are pitch black where vandalism and, violent things happen every night. So we certainly want to make it a green space and add to the quality of life. Remember that whatever happens here is going to affect your property values. So if you want to keep your community in a high standard, you need to be concerned about what happens here. Thank you. And by the way, we would like for the county to consider adding the trail to the 80 dog barns property. Thank you.
And now moving on to table number 6.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Cronin. I just moved here about 6 months ago. I bought a property. I'm an orthopedic surgery resident. I work at Larkin Community Hospital. I ride my bike to the hospital 3 to 4 days a week, depending on when I can do that. I also come from a place in Arizona where we have bike paths everywhere. I can tell you that I've routed about the best way possible through, and although I love Miami, I love the weather, I'm amazed at how few bike paths there are anywhere. It's a wonderful city that should be bike friendly and is rather not bike friendly, I have to say. I really love the idea of this full trail. We are basically echoing a lot of what people are saying already. I wanted to bring up a couple specific things. Everybody has said, more green space, making sure it's a nice trail that's pedestrian friendly. There are a number of spots, all of the major roadways we would hope would have some kind of safe access crossing over, whether it's either covered, hopefully like a walkway, a covered elevated walkway that could also be very pretty. In Arizona we have a lot of these that are very pretty and somewhat decorated, and so it's not an eyesore at all, it's actually a nice thing. And so having an area that also we agree trying to have it incorporated into 80 Doug Barnes Park, and basically having this as an access point to this beautiful park that's kind of a gem in the middle of Miami that's kind of hidden. And so one spot right here, Waterway Road, this is an area where just recently we had a large accident where a car basically jumped off the road into somebody's backyard. So this is an area that needs to be addressed as far as having probably a stop sign, warning lights, slowing people down, having safe crossing. Because this really is 80 Doug Barnes Park. Actually, sorry, that's upside down. We flipped it. And so the park up here and having good access to this corner of the park. So right here is Waterway Road that comes across. So having probably a stop sign, I know I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody. There's a lot of people that cut right through Waterway Road that go very fast and go around this corner at probably 35 miles an hour, faster than we should. And somebody did finally jump the road and end up in somebody's backyard. So this is an area I think really has to be addressed to have safety. Echoing what everybody else has said about having lights. Lights that are not disruptive to the properties that are adjoining either. Something that lights the walkway nicely, small poles, but doesn't, light up everything so that everyone's backyard is lit and, it's an intrusion. So making sure that they're the right lights. The other thing, I love the idea of the cameras, although cameras you have to have somebody actually manning the cameras. So we had a wonderful idea as far as, they have these small posts that they have on communities as far as like college campuses that are usually blue. You hit the button, it calls the cops, it goes directly to 911. So instead of having somebody manning cameras, I don't know how financially feasible that is, but having those posted along with good lighting, but also these intermittent, basically they're police warning stations that you can hit it calls directly, and either it's a cop or bike patrol. I don't know how easy that is to have happen, but as far as the warning, these police stands, I think would be a great thing. So I really appreciate that everybody is here. This is great to see that everybody really, obviously cares about this community. Thank you for having me.
Take a little bit of pause to put more maps up there. We have presenter for table number 13.
Hi, my name is Judy, and our table pretty much went from Carl Way to 16th Street, 18th Street, 8th Street. I get excused. Like everybody else, we are against developing this land, putting homes on it, putting duplexes on it, putting multi-stories on it. We would like to see a park. We would like to see trees in the area as a buffer zone between whatever it fills in this 100 feet wide thing and our properties. We'd like to, I'm going to go down the list, sidewalks and bicycle paths, which would include crosswalks at major intersections. Green areas, which I already said the trees could be a buffer between the existing property. Some people have suggested they'd like to buy 10 or 20 feet of the land and be owners of that section behind their houses. Bus stops for the east-west routes on major intersections if you want to do some kind of building. No commercial development at all behind existing homes. And our section is homes too. When you get down by Carl Terrace, you've got the school, but the rest of our section, our little table, is all homes, and we really don't want to see any commercial things done behind that. Also, we really don't want any residential development either. We're still standing hard fast to the rule that we want a park. No variances to zoning for land use changes. We really think that the development will negatively impact our school boundaries. We are looking at a large monstrosity that is being put up between 16th Street and Carl Way. I don't know, it's 5 or 6 stories right now, which we think is another example of somebody is not paying attention and minding the store. We don't want something like that. We don't want transit there. And we also are very concerned, and someone else mentioned it too, is the traffic that is on the trail in Carl Way and Bird Road is at a standstill now. And everybody is cutting through these little neighborhoods to get off of Ludlam to get off of 74, to get off the trail. And your little neighborhood, your little piece of heaven, is now a major thoroughfare half the darn day. And we don't want to see more increases in that.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to work together on something that concerns all of us. It's very kind from the people who own this land to have us trying to say what we want and try to make a balance between what they want and what we want. The part that I'm discussing is the one that is Section 3, that is between 24 and 40th Street. There is 3 intersections, 2 minor intersection and 1 small intersection. 24th Street, there is an elementary school right there, and it's already impacted because of the big business development of the BJs. So if you see that street, there is 3 more lights. It's already packed. It's really hard to any time at any time of the day pass through that intersection. So this is one intersection. The other intersection is 4th Street. We have a lot of traffic on that intersection too. So if we want to make a kind of trail, like most of you want, we have to think on some overpass through those intersections, because it doesn't make any sense with the traffic that is already over there that we can pass by in a bike. So if we are going to make that, we have to have an overpass on those 2 intersections. The other intersection that is very small is a narrow bridge that is in Norway Drive. As you pointed, there have been already many small traffic incidents, and one major that one car just jumped over the fence and went in the backyard of a neighbor. So if anything is going to be done, that narrow bridge has to be widened and in some way make it more secure for all the traffic that is going past. Okay, now I'm going to go to the Barnes Park section. It doesn't make any sense to build anything in one beautiful park as a Miami-Dade Barnes is. That part has to be part of the park. We have to push all the way down, and that should not be any development at all on that part of the park. Just the trail, the nice trail, whatever it is, but make it part of the park. It should be a park. And between the narrow bridge and 24. One side is business and warehouse, and the other side is houses. If there is going to be any type of construction, if there is any, have to be on the side of already is a business, and the bike trail or walk trail and the buffer, the landscaping buffer, has to be on the side of the neighbors that are already living over there. So there is no impact between one and another. And like, if they have to construct anything, have to be just one store, no more than one store. There is different ideas like the trolley. We know that it's really hard for us to really enjoy public transportation. That is a great path between Leyland and the airport. If that is a possibility, that should be careful as a study. And that's it. I think that I pinpoint small business that support the bike trail, like sport goods, cafeterias, bike parts, anything that support the trail and the bikes on that trail. Lining, of course, some kind of security, some kind of things that really work for us and work for the new developers of the area. Okay, thank you so much for your attention.
Table number 17,
ideas that are not only for this section, but for the entire trail. And one of them that's specific for this area is that the trail will help the kids commute to this very school and alleviate a lot of traffic on Pearl Way. One idea that we'd like to put up is police stations. They belong to the county, the city. We should put some police stations throughout the trail. What better place? Libraries. I want to put a library along A.D. Barnes Park because right now many of our storefront libraries will eventually close. We're renting space, private space. So all of us voted to have libraries in parks. I am going to sacrifice my library as the first one. I'm with Concord. I can walk to my library. Putting a library here will be 3 miles from me, but I think it's the right thing to do for the people. There is no library in this area. It'll be on county property, and it'll be along the park and the trail. People can just bike ride and drop stuff off at the book drop without even stopping. Fitness trails, circuit trainings all throughout. Parking spaces at intervals, because people who are not bikers should have access to this park area. We can also rent spaces in the park for people who want to do fitness classes or yogas in the park on a regular basis. On the corners where the streets are, there should be food kiosks and trucks and a source of revenue for the landowners also. Very important to preserve the pine land that exists already, so I repeat the same thing the gentleman just said. That area is sacred. If nothing else, we must keep that area very, very green along the park. We support the people at the table that we were at. We support the business development at the corner of Coral Way where BJ's already is. That is a commercial area. If they want to expand that, and in order to generate money to fund the green areas, they will make money there. That's okay. They own the land. I still think that we should push to buy the land. It's not that much money compared to how much we all contribute in taxes, maybe about 1% of the entire budget, but that's another story. Right now, the message is we need to keep this as green as possible. I'm going to try to read upside down. It says here, the trail is a rare gift to a big city, an opportunity to keep pure a patch of land among all the concrete. We need to give a gift to the future citizens, just like those people in the past that allowed us to have the green areas that we now enjoy, the parks that we have. People need to be in contact with our land. Let us be the people, just like in 1915, 100 years ago, I'm sure, maybe not 1915, but close by. Other people here in Miami, just like us, sat in meetings just like this and allowed us to have Tropical Park, allowed us to have all the different parks that we have in the area. Let us be the people to give the future citizens the green land that they deserve, just like we deserve it too.
Thank you, and applause. We have a presenter for table number 10. Table number 10.
I recognize that now. There we go. Hi, my name is Noel Cleveland, and I'm also a cyclist. I have a 27-mile commute to work every day. And I like to say, it's the healthiest and most dangerous thing I do. And that's because, it's one of those statistics you might not know, that Florida is #1 in the United States for bicycle fatalities. That's more than California, more than New York, more than anybody else. 25% of the traffic fatalities with cyclists is in Florida. That's mostly Jacksonville, Tampa, and Miami. Now, we may not like Miami drivers, but it's not just the drivers, it's the infrastructure. There's no infrastructure for cyclists here. This is an opportunity for us to do something about that, and we can make a significant improvement. But it means no compromise. This is supposed to be, as Ileana Ross's Leighton's study showed, this is supposed to be a linear park, a separate path for cyclists and a separate path for pedestrians. And in between that, we have all sorts of native trees that plant to provide plenty of shade and also encourage the proper storm protection that native plants provide. Anything else is not acceptable. It really isn't. We're the citizens. This is our home. We need to show some vision for what we want this area to look like. And it doesn't involve more homes. It involves having a park, a place where people want to go to, a people where people want to live next to, and a people that provides a service to the community. South Miami High School, 80 Barnes Park, there's plenty of destinations along here. Not to mention the fact that if this connects up to the airport, there's plenty of people around the world, Europeans, and all those sorts of places in South America, where they don't rely upon a car to get around. So tourists would be more than happy to use another mode of transportation other than a private vehicle if it was available. So if this linear park ties into the airport and accesses all the way down to Dadeland, from there there's all sorts of places you can go to access our beautiful home. And I think it's important we stand our ground and we make sure that this stays a vacant lot with trees and a bike lane and a pedestrian path. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. We were thinking about putting more trees in that area, also to make a sidewalk, because in this side we have a bus student deposit that is here. So it's a big wall that we can, that could be nothing. Just trees, high trees, and the sidewalk alone. This is also for the bike. Here for the sidewalk, small trees because we have power lines behind our house. Also, we were thinking to have the community garden for behind my house. I don't know who is interested because more retired people, they have plenty time doing that for themselves. You know, lettuce, anything, mint, anything that is small. So you can have it behind your house, small land, you can have the opportunity. So I have plenty of that. You can have mango trees, small mango trees, anything that you can do it. For the community garden, everyone has a small fence to protect what they are working for. So you can go to your garden, pick up the lettuce, pick up anything, basil, mint for tea, anything. So it's a good idea, but also for the bike, for more healthy people, more trees, big trees that save power bills on the summer, and it's more oxygen for us. Small trees could be here, sidewalk, this area for the trail. All that we put it here, to here. No more business, no commercial. We have plenty in our areas, and it's a lot of traffic for that. So, bike, I saw many people using bike young people using by going to this park that is in Flagler here, Robert King High Park. That is beautiful. They also walk with a racket to play tennis. So that's in my area. I don't see too much burglary. So in the back of my house, there is nothing like that. So that is my opinion. No more commercial, no apartments, please. No, no, no. We have enough traffic. Also, we were thinking at the 4th Street, at 69th Avenue, some young people, they speeding. And we thought it would be a good idea to put bomb speed. Here, yes, because many times I was walking with my dogs and I was so close to some people hit me with the car. And here in this area where the train is, there is no sidewalk for people that is in a wheelchair. They have to go to the street where the cars is passing by. And dangerous, it's very dangerous. Dangerous for me and dangerous for all people that have to walk on the street. And there is a lot of speeding cars in that area. So we hope they do something because it's our life, it's our kids, it's our whole neighborhood. I am getting old too, so I'm thinking about protecting the people that are retired, the young people, everything. So thank you very much. That's all.
Including number 7.
Hello, our area was in section 1 from Northwest 7th Street to Southwest 8th Street, but we did discuss other areas also. Our main ideas were a bikeway and also rail or elevated rail with possible bikeway underneath. Also, one or the other by itself is also possible. No one was suggesting to have homes or anything like that on there. For the rail, there's options of FCCI. If they're going to have more people doing all aboard Florida, then they can have may need this for other rail too, eventually. That's something that they should consider. Also, along here, you see all the way up to Northwest 7th Street, but this also could extend all the way over to the airport, as was mentioned before. What wasn't mentioned is that there is also a forested area along Robert King High Park, along the south section of it, which is also something that could be examined for state or federal funds for nature preserve. Also, we put a small diagram here because it's hard to do a 2D diagram for this because what we are thinking about is concerns of elevation. Now, we put here for a 12-foot bikeway and 8-foot footpath with trees in the middle and on both sides. The important thing is the canopy for the trees. Now, also, on the lighting is important for security, especially around this area here where it wasn't mentioned, but graffiti is also an issue all along the bikeway, or in this case, the trail. Another issue that we brought up is in certain sections are being used right now for parking, especially along here on Flagler Street. There's a post office box on here, a federal post office box, and there's hardly any parking to get there. And right now the back of the apartment building is part of the trail and it's used as parking. So that's going to become part of the actual trail park, then that's some place that they may want to consider putting parking. Now, another thing that we talked about is both, whether it's rail or bike, connecting it to the airport, and on the other side, the trail goes all the way up to US 1, but the other anchor for this trail would be Zoo Miami. Is the major area, especially since they're considering right now putting something else next to Zoo Miami, whether it be an event, theme park, or something else. That would be a place that they could connect the bikeway up to make sure that it's all there connected. Now, other ideas that we have, we talked about footpaths, border walls. We would consider that like a bad idea, except for areas where there's a lot of traffic. The other issue about elevation is that the elevation in certain parts of the trail is low. Of course, there's a railroad track that's elevated right now, but if you get rid of the railroad track, then you're in certain cases, at least in our area, I know from experience, it floods. And in that case, you have to watch that the trail is going to be high enough for bicycles to go through. And if the trail is not high enough, you're not going to be able to be doing bicycling or anything. Something like either an elevated bikeway by filling it in those certain sections that need to be raised, or an elevated bikeway completely is another option we considered. Or if we're just staying with the lower section, in certain sections we marked where we might want to consider bridges. That would be like an additional expense, but in that section you're trying to make it a park, so you have to consider safety as well. I think I've covered everything that we talked about here. I just want to emphasize one of the things that we talked about, whether we do rail or we do bikeway or something else, is that it's important that we want to have a lot of trees. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and now we're going to put 3 more maps out there. Okay, table number 9. Can you speak over table number 9? There you go.
Hi, my name is George. I've lived in this area since 1972. I went to junior high right here at West Miami. So I'm quite familiar with this area. I used to ride my bike sometimes from this junior high back to my home, very near the trail. When we started looking at this, we identified that there's different components that serve different functions right now. We have an area that's primarily park, an area that's residential, and an area that's industrial and commercial. So the solutions and the problems of each area are unique. So we've identified very practical solutions and recommendations that affect each area, that take into account the quality of life and echo a lot of the issues and recommendations that have been expressed by some of the other groups. First, taking the north part of the park. This area of the park, or the linear park, should be integrated with the existing park that exists over on Flagler. This end of the park linear park serves not just the local community, but will service the whole length of the Ludlam Trail. So the issues that we need to consider here affect the park, servicing of the entire trail, and the integration of what needs to be accomplished. First, a lot of the kids from the neighborhood, including the kids from this junior high, will take their bikes right now and they'll ride down to this park. They'll walk over the existing railroad bridge and go swimming in this lake back here. I remember doing that back in as far as the 1970s. So it's a safety issue right now. This park is also used right now by the Boy Scouts for their jamborees, and a lot of kids go play there. So what we're proposing is removing the existing fence, making the park connected to the linear park, and then take advantage of the waterfront opportunity that will be available for the users of the park. Now, the waterfront opportunity services not only the users of the park, but would also incorporate a wetland area. There's a small wetland area in the back area of this park. The wetland area then can be integrated to provide drainage for the park and also provide sustainable habitat and access then to the waterway. This back end of the park right now is closed off by gate and an overpass. The park is only accessible right now on this side. What we're proposing is to make access on the park from both sides and also provide parking at this end for people that want to use the linear park, so that there's parking available at the end of the trail and also parking and accessibility for the park at the north side. Going down, further down, we have issues of connectivity and access. First, when you cross over the canal that's directly next to the park, there's an existing railroad bridge. That railroad bridge can be repurposed as a pedestrian access to the park and a continuation of the bike trail. Moving further onto Flagler and 8th Street, there's significant traffic issues for the users of the trail and the local community. So we're proposing overpasses at both of those locations, but also bus access ways or easements, so that as people come on the bus to unload their bicycles to use the park, the buses can actually pull off and not block traffic on 8th Street and on Flagler. So there would be like a small area where the buses can go off to the sides at these highly trafficked locations that only have 2 lanes of traffic at this point. Moving further down, where you get into the residential areas, we're talking about some problems that affect this area right now, which is flooding. There's a lot of flooding that occurs in not major storms, but almost any summer storms. What we're saying is that flooding is not only a concern for the linear park, but also the surrounding area. We need to provide additional percolation for this area. 8th Street was raised, there was a lot of development, the Walmart was added, so there's not a lot of drainage. So what we're saying is provide underground drainage solution for this neighborhood, where you would run the lines underground, emptying out into the canal, and you would have connected drainage from the surrounding neighborhood into this linear park. So the drainage of the park not only serves as a flooding solution or a drainage solution for the park, but also provides drainage for the surrounding neighborhood, which are being flooded right now. Water's going into the houses. Then, as you go down to 4th Street, there is a lot of traffic on 4th Street. You would also have some easements there. There's no buses that go through there. But we were thinking about where you would put additional parking. We considered that the current use of this area back here is parking for the school buses What we could do is possibly enter some type of arrangement with the school board where they could allow parking in this facility for public parking, so that people that want to use the buses, that want to use this park, could actually park over in the facility that's operated by the school board. So it would be a repurposing of this area here for anyone that wants to use the linear park. We would, of course, encourage lots of trees, a lot of lighting, and a nice integration with the surrounding homes. When we get down here, we have a Walmart, and then you're thinking, what would be the integration for this area next to a Walmart? And the most we could really come up with is to have a lot of additional trees in this area, maintain an access way that there is over, I believe, between 5th and 6th. It's important to maintain that access to the park as well. A parking area. Oh, and since right now we're also talking about parking at this end, possibly consider a joint solution with Walmart where how we would say this, that a Walmart could, people could either go in through the Walmart parking lot or through a new entrance that would be added next to the trail. And it would be a shared facility for people that could do the shopping and also enjoy the use of the trail. Of course, it would be echoing what a lot of people said, the trash receptacles, the lighting. This is very important for safety. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Any commercially developable areas would be from the back area of where the post office is, because after that it's all residential uses, to basically where the homes start over here behind the car wash on Bird Road. So that would be commercially developable, allowable areas of development. We have noted that on the entire east side of the corridor, there are all residential uses, and predominantly north of Bird Road, on the west side of the corridor, are industrial or commercial uses, mostly. But so this rail has always acted as a buffer to separate the neighborhoods from the commercial areas of Dade County, pretty much. So if there were to be any kind of development at all, we're recommending that any access roads to these facilities not change the existing neighborhood traffic, and that only access roads, all access roads would only be permitted on the west side of the road. There could be a benefit to having commercial properties developed where it's already commercial. Well, obviously we want the trail to stay a trail wherever there is a house. If there's a house, we want no development at all. But if they were to build something here, maybe they could incorporate the overpasses for safe passage of everybody. Either we have to build a bridge or we have to build a tunnel. And if the buildings could accommodate this challenge, it would be safe for the pedestrians and the school children and the commuters. And some of you are probably very surprised that I'm saying this because, anyways, in the area of Bird Road, we have tried to, we have
anything higher than 4 stories in our area would be out of character for the area and very close to residential properties. And we have noted here that the maximum building height for Bird Road would be 4 stories, as is with the majority of that area. So it would stop behind the car wash commercial area here, and then we have Acre Barnes Park here, and this would all be non-developable or trails only. We are also very much in favor of restoring the pine rockland throughout the trail. This should all be preserved as a trail. There is at South Lake, I think it's South Waterway Drive, that small bridge. It's a 2-lane road. It doesn't make sense to me to have, if you have commercial uses here, there would be no need for a road to go all the way across. They should come in and out here at Bird Road. Maybe they could come in and out at 70th Avenue and back onto Bird Road, or access here through the warehouse district. But on the west side of the corridor. Okay, so it was mentioned that at the also at Bird Road, the same thing. Wherever you have a residential single-family home areas, we would ask that you not build anything behind the homes. And if you were to develop anything there, again, access from the west side of the corridor. So it's not too, there's one applicant in Miami right now that basically took out a house in the middle of the block and is wanting to make that a new traffic pattern into the neighborhood, which should never be allowed. We were suggesting, and the thought is as a commuter trail for people that have to get to work and to the Metro Rail station, that it all be major arteries like Bird Road, Coralway, Flagler, etc., that there be something similar to the city bikes. That somebody could theoretically take a bus to Flagler, to the trail, get on a city bike, get their exercise before work, get on the Metro Rail, and go to work, either in the Gables or downtown or anything like that. I don't really know how it works, but I saw them in Miami-Dade and I thought it was a great idea. So that at the major intersections, there would have to be some kind of hub or facility to house these city bikes. So that would be an intermodal transit bike and pedestrian bus access area all around the major arteries that connect to the trail. And I think that's it.
And table number 12.
Thank you. My name is Celeste Pam, and I'm with the Mexico Audubon Society. We're in 55th and Sunset Drive. And my group worked on Bird Road to Snapper Creek Expressway. Basically, we agreed that we wanted a trail, we wanted a continued trail, and we wanted to really increase the tree canopy in Miami. Miami-Dade County is at a 14% tree canopy, and the national average for cities is 30%. In fact, the county has a goal of achieving 30% canopy by the year 2020. So we believe that this is a key opportunity to bring that canopy up. We know that the vulnerable bats, they're endangered, and they've used this area, and so we think that by planting pine lands, pine rocklands and rockland hamlets all throughout this corridor, we can increase the habitat for these species. And also there are about 3 or more schools in this area, and so adding bat houses for the students to research how these spotted bats use this area might be a great opportunity for them to have some applied skills. Another thing that we wanted to do is add lighting to the trail, but low lighting that wouldn't be a problem for the residents that live close by, solar power lights. We also talked about in this area right here, there's the Burr Road area that's an artist hub. And so we thought that not on the trail, but here adjacent to the trail, there could be a possibility to have like sort of a work-live space so that you could add more eyes to the trail and connect people to the trail. So you would have the artists that work later on here, but then they would have the residents here, and this would have so some living space here with a buffer of green space so that it abuts to the trail. We also thought that it would be a good opportunity to add a trolley system that would go from Dayland to Burr Road, and this would be great for the students that go to the schools that are located throughout this corridor, so they could just ride the trolley and go to the schools. We said native trees all throughout. That's very important for us. Again, pine rocklands and rockland hammocks so that we could apply for Amendment $1. And really just keep it as a habitat for wildlife and a recreational opportunity for residents, for students to bike, run, walk, and be able to connect with nature. Let me see if I'm missing something else. Oh, one very important thing. Right here we're at the Metro Rail station, and there's an opportunity to connect the Ludlam Trail to the underline so that we have another opportunity to increase the bike lanes all in Miami-Dade County and give people the opportunity to bike and to commute in different ways other than with the cars. Thank you.
I think we're down to the last two maps. Last but not least, and then we'll do a quick wrap up about what comes in the next few days after this. So please don't go away. Table number 15.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Montague. I'm a longtime resident of the Waterway community here. I live on South Waterway Drive. And what we're concerned about is area here, Barnes Park. What we would like to see happen is, like they're going to do up there off the Blue Lagoon section, is use Dade County impact fees to acquire this section here behind Barnes Park where our homes are, and integrate it into part of the park. And also, seeing here, basically like everyone else is iterated, no buildings here on the railway. We wanted to have a green space. We want to have a bike path. We want community use for this area here. And if there was, we don't own this property like they said before. If there was going to be buildings put here, they have to be single family homes, one story, but that would be like the worst case scenario. But as far as the area behind Barnes Park and stuff, we want this to be green area and, keep it for the community. And another thing, we got to be more involved with the commissioners and the departments. And if we're going to get what the community wants. We really got to be proactive, hammer the commissioners, and make our voices heard. You know, this whole room was packed when we first walked in here, and now there's probably a third of the people that are here, and everyone walked out. And that's not how we're going to win this battle. And that's what I got to say.
And last but not least, table number 14.
Thank you for waiting. And basically, we have the same, more or less, that many of the neighbors, especially those close to the Barnes Park. So, no many new ideas, but the confirmation and feelings of the old. Maintaining existing canopy tree preserved raw pine trees. In here, bonafide bats, murciélagos, in period of extinction. Bike paths combined with benches and rest areas and walking paths. Any vehicular access, no access. No change in land uses on adjacent properties. Overpass at major street intersection. Connectivity with properties around 80 Barnes Park. We are fortunate to have Barnes Park behind our home. At least the half of that section have the Barnes Park there. And finally, increase green buffer when Ludlam Trail adjoins industrial areas and northwest. That's it. Confirmation of the feeling of the mayor of the participants. Thank you.
All right. A lot of ideas, much stuff to look at and go over. So here's what we're going to do. Of course, we are going to wrap up here today. Take all these maps. We're going to take it to, we're going to be working in 80 Barnes Park, next to the space that is right next to the pool. And we're going to be working on these, trying to put together all the thoughts that you gave us today, all the ideas that are on these pages. And the whole idea for us to be at the 80 Barnes Park is, so there are a lot of you that were not able to make it here today, your neighbors, let them know, they can still stop by. It's still a work in progress. It's not done by me. This was just not it. I mean, if there's still more ideas, please. You might go back later on and think that, oh, we forgot to talk about this. So you will still have time to come back and tell us about it. We also have another charrette for the south 3 sections that is going to be on the 9th of March. It's a Monday. We could not do it on Saturday for some reason. But it's on Monday in the evening. It's a similar process. You're most welcome to that also if you want to come back. But first of all, for all the good work, all the amazing work coming out here on a Saturday, please give yourself a big round of applause. And also, big thanks to all the staff that was here to help you put those ideas together. So with that, I mean, you're this one. All right, thank you, and hope to see you on Monday.